think this needs to come out a little bit more. Do you think it needs to be okay? No, it's fine. So it's gonna be this big at the top, but it also has to taper out into the roots, Wesley. So if we extrude this upwards a little bit, and then we start tapering this thing out. Q says, makes me wonder why train builders didn't clean it all up if there's rotten spikes, etc. Well, they clean up parts of it, Q. We're gonna clean up parts of it, where the station is and where the track is, and then the other part is still wild. The station is called Deepwood, so it's meant to be like it's deep in the wilderness. Alright, so we're extruding up, and then we have to fill this whole volume with wood. Wesley, are you happy? Probably have to demolish quite a lot of the foliage on the inside as well. Hey, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should like make the track out of timber that's been taken from the giant stump. Q, this is not a realistic piece of architecture. Although, if somebody tried to build this in real life, I would support them in every way. This is gonna take a while. Let me just work on this. So coming down here. The other thing, I mean, going back to a thing we were talking about before, like the pavilions. Because pavilions don't have that much defined function, I mean, aside from just looking good and being an art exhibition space. But in a way, the lack of defined function also makes it less easy to do things interesting. Like in the train station, for example, the train station has to accommodate the movement of people and trains, and that movement can give you design constraints for how to build the shapes. For example, like the escalators coming out of the ground, as Helena was talking about, like that requires an exit, and the exit is a certain size and shape. So whatever graceful architecture you make out of that, it has a very specific purpose, which is to direct people out of the ground and onto the surface, for example. Q says we allow streams through houses, and houses made of different sized stacked boxes, but a giant rotten tree in the train station is just too much. I don't know if I care about the leaves. We're never going to see these leaves, right? Let's not care about the leaves. Alright, what's going on here? Stacking all this up. And then a tunnel... the tunnel through there we're gonna have to design. So, Wesley, you know how the stump is kind of tapered or sloped? On the log, I mean. The giant log is like sliced, it's not a horizontal slice, it's kind of like a diagonal slice. So, in a way, this should also be a diagonal slice at the top if you are fancy enough to do that. To figure that out as you do it. Anyway, let me fill this stuff in. Let's leave that for now. So we're gonna spend this whole day just filling in wood, huh? In a lot of fantasy architecture, there's giant tree houses or giant trees. But they never work out in real life. Mostly because trees don't get this big. And if you try to build inside trees, you'll kill them. Although, yeah, Helena, it's gonna take a long time. Although, you can grow plants in certain shapes. I've seen like people weave, like you take a bunch of saplings and then you weave them together and then they grow into a wall. It takes a long time though. And maybe if you use genetic engineering to make plants grow in into shells or shell-like shapes. Then you could have actual houses made from trees. Wesley, alright, what's your idea, Wesley? One block over? Yeah, let's do that. You know, that might be a great idea. I think it's less of an issue with this building than with the other ones though, Wesley, because it's just a giant blob of wood anyway. It's like... What if you take 100 years to grow a giant tree, and then you need to move it over by a meter? So you chop it down, and you plant another tree a meter over, and wait another 100 years for it to grow. Well, that's the reason why we're building so many train stations, Helena, is because if you botch one of them, you just move on to the next one and you don't worry about the one you botched. That's why we're building so many train stations. Helena says, can't wait for you guys to finish everything and then we go back to every station and think, what on earth are we doing here? I mean, I already feel that way about this one, Helena, to be honest. What is happening? It's gonna be amazing. No, Folly was great. Folly was like the best thing. It's so fun. It's like a playground. here. How is this gonna... Oh, let me just leave that open, I guess. Oh, Helena says flint and steel, yeah. It would be dramatic, for sure. You know, I can save a copy of this world. I can make a backup copy and then we just burn everything to the ground. It's warm, Helena. Turn the heater on. Q says I had an old map where I created a very pretty permanent forest on fire when we had infinite fire. I guess that's also one of the reasons why you don't have giant wooden wooden tree buildings. Although there are a lot of wooden buildings. Solid blocks of wood don't actually burn that well. Like, they take forever to burn through the whole thing. Because fire needs oxygen, right? And so, if you burn a tree, you would char the surface, and then the oxygen can't get into the wood in the middle, and then it stops burning after a while. If you're lucky, that is. I'm putting the grain in the right direction, and when Wesley doesn't care. Like, if somebody tunnels inside the middle of the tree trunk, they'll find that the grain goes the wrong way. Nobody's ever going to do that. Q says, I'm quite surprised you're actually filling in with wood, as you've made other structures over the years where you don't bother with areas that are hidden. Have I, Q? I think I mostly fill things in. I'm pretty sure I mostly fill things in, even if you can't see them. Did we decide to make this side this high and then slope it down?